Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I wanted to chat about some very popular books, some very popular romances that I've read in the last few months, and I wanted to decide whether they were truly worth the hype or not. So these are all big books, big authors on Bookstagram, Booktube, Booktok, all those places, and they have a crap ton of ratings and reviews. It's like, should these have blown up as big as they did? Why did they blow up as big as they did? That's what I'm gonna try to dive into today, but before I get into all these books, I do want to share today's sponsor. I am so excited to be partnering up with Love Bonito for today's video. Love Bonito is a clothing brand that originated in Singapore when the founder noticed that the clothes from most major fashion brands were not catering to the body types of our Singaporean and Asian community. So I'm thrilled to be working with a company that creates clothes with someone like me in mind, and it's even more fitting that May is Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander month. Love Bonito has a modern, minimalistic style with thoughtful designs. I actually just wore this beautiful top to a book signing that I moderated for recently. I barely have anything up top here, but this design is so flattering on me. The amazing thing about Love Bonito is that they actually listen to their community and implement these changes into their clothes, such as by including deeper functional pockets like the ones on these cute shorts. They offer accessible, ready-to-wear fashion such as a blazer for your dream job interview. I love how representation matters to this brand. They want to make sure Asian women are seen and celebrated. They chose specific colors for their clothes to match and flatter more golden and olive based skin tones. So upgrade your closet with clothes made to fit you today with Love Bonito. Go to the link in my description and use promo code LBXLacey for 10% off your order of $110 or more. So here are a couple pieces that I got from Love Bonito that I was able to style in a few outfits. This top goes so well with these shorts, though honestly this top could go well with anything. It's so nice. It makes me look like I have a figure. Here I could pair it with a nude blazer if it's a little chilly out. Here I'm wearing the top with the long pants. They look super cute together, but then when I wear the blazer, it makes me look like a total boss girl. A big thank you to Love Bonito for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to use my promo code LBXLacey for 10% off your order of $110 or more. Okay, back to the rest of this video. The first author that I wanted to chat about is an author that I read for the first time at the end of 2022. This author blew up last year. Actually, I think all the authors that I'll be talking about blew up last year. It is Elsie Silver, and more specifically her Chestnut Spring series. I only own book 2, Heartless, because this is my personal favorite of the series, but Flawless is book 1, the one that everyone was raving about when it first came out. The series is a contemporary cowboy romance series. It's set in this Canadian small town, and the heroes do work on a ranch. Their family owns this ranch. There are 3 brothers and 1 best friend who is basically like another brother. I personally held off on reading Flawless until like way at the end of 2022 because there was so much hype going on for it, and I'm always terrified whenever books go big like this, because when you see all your friends reading it and loving it and being obsessed, you're like, I don't want to be the odd one out. Thankfully, the series was actually so much fun. Was I obsessed with it like everyone else was? No, but it's like a solid 4-star series for me, at least so far. I've only read the first 2 books. I still need to get to book 3, Powerless, but I would say that this series did live up to the hype for me. Elsie Silver's writing is fantastic. I love her strong heroines. I love the banter in her books, though I will say it took me reading book 2, Heartless, for me to really solidify this and be like, okay, yes, I can definitely see why so many people love Elsie Silver now. Because book 1, while it was good, I gave it 4 stars. It was more like a fluffy kind of fun, which has a time and a place, and I definitely was in the mood for it when I read it. But Heartless was just the one that sealed the deal for me. It is really interesting to me though that a cowboy romance series blew up like this, just because I never really see cowboy romances getting all that much love. Honestly, the most recent cowboy romances that I read before the Chestnut Spring series were historical Western cowboy romances, and those ones barely anyone reads, unfortunately, but it's been a long time since the last time I read like a contemporary cowboy romance, but I can see why people fell in love with Elsie Silver. I do really like her writing. The romances for the series is great. Also, the covers are beautiful. Unfortunately, I think they're going away now that Elsie is getting picked up by a publisher. Oh, that is also a common thing for quite a few of these authors in this video. But overall, Elsie Silver, she did live up to the hype for me. And then I have a sequel from a very popular author author that had quite a bit of hype to it just because the first book was incredible. So it was understandable that people were really excited for this next book, but also a little nervous whether it would live up to the first book. So this is Things We Hide from the Light by Lacey. This was the highly anticipated sequel to Things We Never Got Over, which yes, was a favorite of mine from last year, but did the sequel live up to the hype? Was it as good as book one? Well, no, I gave book one 5 stars, but this one was still a 4-star read for me, so it was still really good, just not quite as amazing as Things We Never Got Over. So it's hard to be like, yes, this did live up to the hype, but it wasn't quite the 5-star read that I was expecting. I still did really enjoy it though. I know a lot of people are pretty torn, pretty split on how they feel about Nash and Lena's romance, but I personally really enjoyed it. I did like how it was a very different feel from book one. I didn't want to read, you know, the exact same thing in another book. I will say though, after reading the second book, now the anticipation, the hype, and the countdown towards book 3, which is about everyone's favorite couple, it's all real now. It's getting so close and I am dying for the next book. Oh, and this series did get picked up by a publisher. The first book originally released as an indie book for like a couple months, and then a publisher, Bloom, picked it right up. Honestly, it's feeling like it's 2012, 2013 all over again, because this exact same thing happened 10 years ago when publishers would pick up really big hit indie authors. So it's been really interesting to see this whole cycle repeat itself, only with this new edition of BookTok. But going back to this book, Things We Hide from the Light, this one, it did live up to the hype for me. I love being back in this small town. I love Lucy's score, her writing, her humor is fantastic. And then I read a debut book that I was pretty nervous about just because there were so many divided feelings about it. The Goodreads page trashed it like crazy, but at the same time, its rating is still really, really good. It's got like over 200,000 ratings and a 4-point-something average rating. The book is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This is a debut author who made it big from their very first book. Unlike the previous 2 authors, Lucy Score has been writing for quite a while, and Elsie Silver had like a whole other series that she published before the big Chestnut Spring series. But some authors do get lucky from their first book, from their debut. It's like they came out with it at the right place, at the right time. And I guess this book just had the perfect storm to make it big, but did it live up to the hype for me? No. I didn't hate it though. I really expected to be reading like the worst book ever from all the reviews that I've seen on Goodreads, but it wasn't as bad as everyone said it was. I mean, it wasn't that great either, but it wasn't horrible. It was just a very average college sports romance. Personally, I didn't really see anything too special about it. I mean, the actual concept of it was better than the execution. We have a romance between a figure skater heroine and a hockey player hero. Also, the cover is really adorable, so I can see why people would want to read it, but the writing was okay for me here. I was not feeling the chemistry between the main characters. I was not all that into the romance, so that part was a little bit of a fail. And I'm honestly not too sure how this one got so big and so popular. It also originated as an indie book, and then after it got big, after everyone was talking about it, a publisher picked it up. It'll definitely be interesting to see how well the author's second book does. It's gonna be her second ever book. It's gonna be a sequel to a very big book. Even though Icebreaker did not live up to the hype for me, I will still be reading that sequel. And then another book that blew up big, that had quite a bit of hype for it, was Blindside by Candy Steiner. This is the one author on my list that I had already read before their big book got big. Like Lucy Score, my first book was Things We Never Got Over. Elsie Silver, Flawless was my first. Obviously with Hannah Grace, her debut was my first. I'd read like 4 or 5 books of hers before this one, and I would say she averaged to like a 3.5 star author for me. I didn't love her, but I still enjoyed a couple of her books. So it was kind of surprising that Blindside, of all the books that she's written, blew up, because she's more known as an angsty romance author. Most of her books are just the super angsty, super emotional kind of reads. This one, the series, is not that. It's a very fun college sports romance series. It's a football romance series. This one in particular has fake dating, which people generally love. The interesting thing is that this is the second book in a series and the first book did not blow up like how Blindside did. Is it because the cover of the first book has a character of color? Unfortunately, people are gonna gravitate towards the white guy, but for the most part, Blindside did live up to the hype. Is it my new all-time favorite college romance? No, but it was still a solid 4-star read. Do I particularly see why this book, out of all the new adult college sports romances out there, blew up? Not really. It's your fairly typical college romance, but maybe that's why people liked it so much. It's a super cute read, very easy to fly through, and people just love reading sports romances, me being one of them, even though I could not care less about real life sports. Also, interestingly enough, this book, this whole series, did not get picked up by a publisher. I'm kind of surprised it didn't, although I don't know if Candy got offered it or not, but this is the first of 2 books that did not get picked up by a publisher in this video. The other book that did not get picked up by a publisher but is still going strong, going big, is Offside by Avery Keelan. This one actually started as a book on Wattpad, and when I read it, I could definitely feel it. It's yet another sports romance. It's a hockey romance. Honestly, if you want to make it big in 2023, you gotta write a sports romance or a small town romance. Those are the 2 big trends going on right now. But yes, I read Offside. This was the one that I read the most recently, and unfortunately, it did not live up to the hype. I wanted to love it just because I do love hockey, but it was way too long. It was about 600 pages, which means it was 300 pages too long. I do not need a 600-page hockey romance unless you're Mariana Zapata. So I was disappointed by this one. I did not really like the writing. The story felt very, very cliched, very Wattpad-like, and again, it was just insanely long for no good reason. I don't know if this one blew up big though because it was already big on Wattpad, or if it got even bigger after it got published on Amazon. It is so hard to keep up with all these big books. I'm usually always late to everything anyway. I get like the trickle down effect of books that are big on BookTok just because I avoid everything TikTok, but this one only just released at the end of 2022 and it's already such a big book. Was it worth the hype though? No. And then the last author that I have that had quite a bit of hype was B.K. Borison. Her Love Life Farm series was very popular last year. It even got picked up by a publisher, and we are getting even more books in the series this year. So Love Life Farms was the first book, and this one was the one that was on my radar. It had a cute illustrated cover. It was in the second half of 2022 that I first heard about it, and I guess Christmas was kind of coming up, so it was the perfect time because the series is set on this Christmas tree farm. But I finally read it around like fall season, which is kind of the perfect season to read it because it's such a cozy romance. It's friends to lovers, which is one of my favorite tropes, so this one did work for me. It did live up to the hype. It was super adorable, but then I read the second book and that one was such a disappointment. I don't know why In the Weeds just did not work for me. I could not get into the romance or the characters, so this one did not live up to the hype. But then I read the third book, Mixed Signals, and this one I gave the easiest 5 stars to because I freaking loved it. So this author for me started off great, then went crashing down, and then went back up to a new height. So can I still say that this author lived up to the hype for me? I mean, overall, yes. Right now I'm feeling really good about her books just because I ended with a 5-star read, but I guess we'll see how well the fourth book lives up to the rest of the series. So those are 6 very popular authors that I read, 6 popular romance authors, and for the most part they did live up to the hype. I'm not much of a hater in general though. Like, there are some times when I read a book and I'm like, I don't know how people love this one, but clearly for the most part I am in the majority of how people enjoy these books. Let me know your thoughts though if you guys have read any of these books that I've mentioned, or maybe you're planning to read some of these. As always, links to all the books will be down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!